Hey, what's up everyone? We're back, and this weekend I was making some pop punk straight out of the 90s, and I figured I would share with you 7 useful tips for making pop punk in your DAW by yourself. Let's get into it. So I did a video several years ago where I said that punk was really for young people. As you get older, it doesn't really make that much sense to sort of believe in the ethos of punk rock. And people were very upset with me. They said, I'm 45 and I'll be a punk rocker till I die. And we're going to find out at the end of the video if I've changed my mind. The answer is sort of, but hold on and I'll tell you why. Now, let's get into the actual production of punk rock music by yourself within a DAW. Now, I don't have a drum set here in my studio, so we'll start with 7 useful tips for making punk rock in your DAW. The first is use a sample drum library. And I really feel like my favorite punk rock bands from the 90s, like the pop punk era, they either had 2 types of drummers. One that was an ace, let's say like Strung Out or NoFX, or when Josh Freese played on the Vandals albums. Their drumming really was the heartbeat of the band. And then there was drummers that were sort of lovably bad. They would drag, they would rush. Well, I'm saying if you're going to produce pop punk by yourself, it's actually easier to do stuff that's perfectly on time in a computer than it is to try to emulate the lovably bad drumming of some drummers of the 90s, who I won't mention because I don't want to call anyone out and put anyone on blast. So, my tips for drums, if you're producing punk rock by yourself, is to choose a decent library. I chose East West's Pro Drummer. And East West Pro Drummer, it gets a lot of hate because it's not really all that versatile, but it is great for hard rock and punk type stuff. So here's what the kit sounds like. There you go. And that's more than enough to do it. And we can take a look at the drums soloed just to see what it's like to have a drummer playing perfect. Okay, so the drummer is playing perfectly on time. There is no swing. As you can see, everything is a perfect 16th note or 8th note. And of course, the tempo is very high because we like to play punk rock fast. The tempo is at 195 beats per minute. And another thing I've done that I'll get to this later is you can see it's just a 16-bar loop that I've duplicated throughout the whole song because I wrote the verse riff to sort of work with the drums I'd already programmed for the chorus. And that's just me being lazy, but I think that honestly with a lot of punk rock, less is more, and that's going to be a lesson throughout this video. It's like the less you do, the better off you are. The closer you are to danger, the further you are from harm, if you know what I'm saying. So let's abandon looking at the drums and let's move on to bass. Now, I was a bass player in punk rock bands, and one of the most disheartening things about recording is that you really want to strut your stuff, but to play bass for punk rock effectively, you really should just be playing the roots. You don't really need to have too many melodic flourishes at the end of each measure. And that's the one nice thing about making music by yourself. You don't have to look at the bass performance as your only chance to shine, and you realize that when you take that out of the equation, you play much simpler stuff on the bass. And that's a good learning experience and a good reason to produce music on your own. You realize that it's not all about you, it's all about serving the song. And so we can listen to the bass riff right now. And so you can see it's just playing the roots, and the way that I produce bass for almost any genre is I will have a DI and I'll have an amp. And you can see here the DI is at we can pull up the faders actually. The DI is at -6, -7. The amp is at -2, and that amp is just VST, or it's an amplitude amp actually. So we can listen to each one individually. Let's pull this off, and here's just the DI signal. And then here's just the amp. So the DI is adding more mid-range upper range, and then the bass is sort of, the amp is filling out a more rounded tone. The two of them working together, I think they perform the function of making a really round bass signal that fits well in a mix. Better than either one of them on their own. And so I'll play the thing once, and then, you know, you'll just copy it to the other track. So then you blend it into the mix. So that's my bass secrets for punk rock bass. And so together, the drums and the bass may sound a little something like this. And that's starting to sound like a punk rock song. So now that we've covered drums and we've covered bass, let's move on to guitars. And the first thing I'm going to say is more of a production note and not a guitar note. I know that I listened to a lot of punk rock in my youth, and one thing that they would do is not have very good editing. So I've left this little beginning part in where you hear the guitar sort of turning on. You could hear it in your right headphone. Let's listen to that one more time. It's almost like an affect to sort of give it a punk rock vibe, to say, oh, I couldn't be bothered to edit out that first part. And so I actually start with the chorus riff, which is like a 1-5-4 riff, but then I also put in a lead here that I played. So we can listen to the lead. And when I did the lead, I was trying not to use too many advanced techniques. I was trying to think almost like a teenager, where how would a teenager play this? They have a 1-5-4 riff, and they're armed with the major scale. They would just try to go as fast as possible. So this is what I came up with the lead. Okay, and then we can look at the rhythm guitars from here on out. These are, you know, two separate tracks. One is, I use this PRS Archon, I never know how to say it. This is a Waves plugin, and this is one of my favorite dirty amps. That's on my right channel. Then on my left channel, I used Amplitude, the Slash Marshall. A lot of, you know, JCM 800s have been used in punk rock from the beginning of time. The one in the Slash collection from Amplitude sounds pretty good to my ears. So a combination of these two amps. The interesting thing about using these virtual amps is I believe that these are far too expensive for most up-and-coming punk rock bands to be using. But we can listen to both of the rhythm tones together. And those are obviously hard panned. So the rhythm right is panned hard right, rhythm left is panned hard left. You can see that up here in the upper left-hand corner. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty standard practice when it comes to tracking punk rock guitars. You play the rhythm, you double it, and I actually use the same guitar for this rhythm. I know that in a band you'd have one guy with a certain guitar and another guy with another, but I couldn't be bothered to switch guitars. One was already in tune. So I played both of these rhythms with the same guitar, just different amps, which gives them, of course, a different color. This is the Archon. And this is the Slash JCM 800. And of course, both of those together, they're not that rich and full. You got to carve out some space in your guitar tone for the bass to come through. That's one thing you learn from recording. It's okay to high pass your guitars, and they should really occupy a mid-range type space, because you want the bass and of course the kick drum to occupy the lows. So it's okay if you do that. So that's my guitar recording tips for punk rock on your own. Finally, of course, let's get to the vocals. And the vocals, the punk rock lyrics have always intrigued me. And that's why I've always felt like punk rock was for young people. This ethos of us versus them, me versus society, always seemed a little silly once you become an adult. But that's the type of lyrics that I wrote for this. This is us versus them, me versus society. We can listen to, I guess, the first verse. Here we go.
never step in the same stream twice. You only get one chance in this life. The stream is always changing, and so are you. Oh, so I'm racking my brain to find why you think your stream's the same as mine, and why you think you can tell me what to do. The only path is to obey. Look, man, there is no other way. Well, that's what you do, so I should too.
And then we're gonna get to the chorus here. And my question is, do you ever write a chorus that's so catchy that you feel like you must be ripping off somebody? That's how I felt with this track. It's like, okay, it got stuck in my head immediately the second that I wrote it. But I felt like this has to exist in the world already. But that's the funny thing about, I think, punk rock is the hooks are so catchy that they are memorable songs, perhaps more so than, you know, a progressive rock or a metal band. You know, you have a very simple chord progression, a very simple melody. So choruses like this will get stuck in your head. The song is called But I Won't Let You, and you'll hear it in the chorus here.
But I'm an independent man. I know just where I stand. You were trying to tell me who I am, but I won't let you. I'm unapologetically this person that you see, and you were trying to tell me who to be, but I won't let you.
And of course we have gang vocals there. Not really, you could load up gang vocals with 8 or 9 or 10. And these ones don't sound great, but they sound good enough.
But I won't let you.
As you can see, they're heavily processed. I think they're processed on the group level here with, yeah, just high pass and low pass. I just want them to occupy that middle, and then they're compressed with a 76 type thing, just to get that a very mid-rangey gang vocal type sound.
Who to be, but I won't let you.
And the lead vocal processing is, it's just EQ, compression, tape saturation. Then I just put a little bit of reverb on it with a RC48, just because I feel like a vocal without any reverb, a lot of times it's like someone's yelling in your ear, even on punk rock. Now, punk rock, you know, it doesn't have to be rich, floral reverb, but with, you know, you singing straight into a mic and then that going straight into your ear compressed without any reverb, it does sound like someone's yelling at you. And of course, I am sort of yelling at whoever's listening to this, but that's tip number 6. Tip number 7, this is vocal processing, is making sort of questionable mixing decisions or arrangement decisions. So here's the mix bus, and I honestly feel like a lot of punk rock bands, they'll record and they don't really know what they're doing, and then they're making creative decisions in the studio, and sometimes they don't really make sense. So I sequenced out 2 choruses to end the song, and it sounded a little weird to end just, you know, on a second chorus and then end. So I thought, what if you did a fade out? And the proper thing to do would probably be to play the chorus a 3rd time and have it fade all the way down to 0. But like when punk rock bands record, you're sort of making these decisions on the fly. So it's like, well, I think the fade out sounds better, but let's listen to the end of the song. So you either usually have a fade out or you just have the song end. But this is a combination of the two, and that's some of the weird production decisions that go into, you know, teenagers getting into a recording studio and playing in a punk rock band for the first time.
Person that you see, and you were trying to tell me who to be, but I won't let you. I'm an independent man. I know just where I stand, and you were trying to tell me who I am, but I won't let you. I'm unapologetically this person that you see, and you were trying to tell me who to be, but I won't let you. I won't let you.
So you see, the fade out is a little weird, but it kind of makes sense in a punk rock context. And that's the thing. Don't be afraid to make unconventional production decisions. And then going back to point 3, let these guitars and this bass ring out. And it's just one of those things where it's like the ethos is we couldn't be bothered to edit the ends here. So if we solo the guitars, you can hear them. Oh, and the vocals too. I believe that there's a... those little things, I think they make it more punk rock. And you can say, you know, if you have to think about it, it's not punk rock. But the thing is, you have to think about everything you do in life. So those are the 7 tips for making punk rock on your own in a DAW. Use a decent drum VST. You know, you can program everything on the grid, and punk rock programming doesn't really require a lot of swing. For the bass, I like to double up tracks and typically just play roots. The bass isn't all busy all over the place. You know, you double guitars and you pan them for the rhythm. You know, you keep your lead simple. And then your vocals, you know, the words can be typical punk rock fare, you know, because you're writing something with a plot that has existed, but you're sort of adding your own spin to it. Now, this is the interesting thing. And, you know, I was talking about how punk rock is a discipline for young people. And if we take a look at the lyrics of this song, you know, this fighting against society, fighting against conformity, that is a very youthful attitude. And yet I was thinking, how does this change as you get older? And I think when you're younger, the you is out there in the world. The you is society. The you is the cops. The you is the pressure to get a union card and, you know, work a day job every day for the rest of your life until you're old and withered and you don't want to have to face that life. Now, I think when you're older, the you in a song, you know, me and you, is actually also you or me. Does that make sense? So the conflict is not man versus society. The conflict is man versus himself as you get older, because when you're an adult, you have the right to make your own decisions, and you're not rebelling against anybody. You're rebelling against the part of your nature that tells you to just go along to get along. Because a lot of times, you know, the way that you go along to get along may be indicative of who you are as a person. So I think that there might be some sort of wisdom in punk rock, even for old folks like me and you, if you're old. But if you're young and you just want to make punk rock in your basement, this has been a tutorial for how to do it. Don't overthink it. Just grip it and rip it, bros, because you can make music like this very easily from the comfort of your own home. I hope you found this helpful. If you have, feel free to like or subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. I'm going to let this song play out so you can hear the whole thing. Let me know what you think of it in the comments. Feel free to subscribe if you enjoyed this video. The end. Bye.
Twice, you only get one chance in this life. The stream is always changing, and so are you. Oh, so I'm racking my brain